Why, hello. I didn't see you there. Welcome back to MTG ASMR here on Red Mage, Blue Mage. Emphasis on red, emphasis on blue especially. So, we're in Phyrexia, all will be one. And the consensus is blue is not a very good color. And so naturally I've landed in blue. It's not my fault, okay? I got past a pick 4 Jace the Perfected Mine in pack 1, so I think it's safe to say that people are allergic to blue right now. So Jace the Perfected Mine is 2 blue and a blue Phyrexian mana, because he is completed, meaning you can pay that Phyrexian mana with life, in which case Jace enters with 2 fewer counters. He has 5 loyalty, he has a +1, until your next turn, up to 1 target creature gets -3/-0. -2, target player mills 3 cards, then if a graveyard has 20 or more cards in it, you draw 3 cards, otherwise you draw a card, and -X, target player mills 3 times X cards. From what I understand, the play pattern with this is you +1 it a couple times, and then you just -7 it, and you win the game outright, because limited decks, of course, only have 40 cards, so this is one of our win conditions. We also got past not 1 but 2 Blue Sun's Twilights. This is X blue for a sorcery. Gain control of target creature with mana value X or less. If X is 5 or more, create a token that's a copy of that creature. So that's our win conditions. But we're not done. We also have Ovika, Enigma Goliath. 5 blue-red for a 6/6 flying, ward 3 and pay 3 life. When you cast a non-creature spell, you make X 1/1 goblins, where X is the mana value of that spell, and they gain haste. So that's a lot of action at the high end. What do we have at the low end? The crucial low end in this very fast, very assertive format. Well, we have a Hex Gold Slash, which was my first pick, and is one of the best cards in the format. Just 1 red mana, deal 2 to a creature. That's most of the card, and you're happy with that. We also have 2 Bring the Endings, a 2 mana counter spell for the early plays, a couple Malcator's Watchers, a 2 mana 1/1 Flying Vigilance. When it dies, draw a card. Those are great to trade early. We have some Mesmerizing Doses and a Rebel Salvo for 3 mana removal spells. I will not be surprised at all if we wind up doing very poorly. But I'm excited to see what this deck can do, or what it can't do, as the case may be. I'll see you in round 1. Alright. Full disclosure, I have played a handful of drafts with my co-host of Filthy Casual View, Seth. We played a total of 3 drafts together so far, and we are 2 wins, 1 loss overall. 2 trophies, I should say. And 1 0-3, which is not great. Our opponent's going first. This is a pretty bad hand that we have here. 4 lands and nothing to do until turn 3, which I think is a recipe for disaster. So I think we have to mulligan, sadly. Second hand looks a lot better. We've got turn 1 Glistener's Seer, turn 2 Malcator's Watcher, turn 3 Mesmerizing Dose. This looks a-okay to me. So let's bail on one of these cards. Opponent goes Razor Verge Thicket and plays a Swooping Lookout. This is a 1 mana 1/2 Flying Vigilance. Pretty good turn 1 for them. They hit us for 1 and pass the turn. Okay. We get to not do anything with our Glistener's Seer yet, but we'll get to Scry at the end of their turn. We get to play our Malcator's Watcher. Question is, do we block with it on their turn? Opponent plays an island, so they're a Bant deck. Okay, interesting. I don't think that's an archetype. And they play Unctus's Retrofitter. 3 mana, 2/3 Toxic 1. When it enters the battlefield, up to 1 target artifact you control becomes a 4/4 for as long as it remains on the battlefield. So they're going to make their Swooping Lookout into a 4/4. Well, that's actually a fine reason to block. So let's go ahead and scry with our Glisteners here. Rebel Salvo. That's pretty good. Yeah, we'll probably just keep that. We're going to get hit for 4 this turn. Is it worth it to block and draw a card? Probably, I would say so. Preserves our life total, draws us a card. And we drew a Bring the Ending. I do like that. But I guess we just Rebel Salvo now. They have blue mana, so they could have their own Bring the Ending, so I think we're just supposed to Rebel Salvo that. I mean, currently we are playing a land every turn, and we are getting closer to drawing one of our great spells. Ooh, opponent goes Mandible Justiciar, one of my favorite cards. Little pet cards. 1 and a white for a 2/1 lifelink. When you play an artifact, it gets +1/+1. Just so good in this format. Alright, let's go ahead and scry again. A mountain. No thank you. Okay, it's now 18-20. Drew a Trawler Drake. Is that worth playing right now? The problem is I really want to keep up a Bring the Ending. So I think we just pass to them. They're basically in a position to do 1 damage to us each turn, which is not that scary. Charge of the Mites. That's pretty annoying. So they're making 2 1/1 Phyrexian Mite creatures. I say it's annoying because it's a 3-mana spell that they just cast on 5 mana. When they cast a 2-mana spell last time. Yeah, that's quite annoying, actually. Gives them 2 extra power on their Justiciar. Yeah, we paid the price for that one. Scry away another land. We're going to take 5 damage this turn, which hurts. Now we have... What do we want to do? We have a total of 5 mana to play with. So I guess we play Trawler Drake. Pass the turn. And we have a Bring the Ending. I hope that we can actually cast this thing. Grow our Trawler Drake. They play their own Malcator's Watcher. It's fine. Grows their Justiciar again. They're just attacking with everything. Okay. So we get to block both of the Mites, I suppose. So now it's 9-27. We drew another land. I mean, the good news here... there's not really that much good news. We have a Malcator's Watcher. Fantastic. Great. Love it. We have a Mesmerizing Dose we could play on something, but I just don't know if we need to. And again, just holding on to this Bring the Ending, hoping that we can bring it. They flash in a Chrome Prowler, which lets us finally cast Bring the Ending. Attacking with Swooping Lookout and Malcator's Watcher. So we'll trade Malcator Watchers. We both draw a card. We're at 8 now. We drew Jace the Perfected Mind. Okay. Question is, will this be enough to actually get us to a better position? And cast Transplant Theorist. Post-combat. Weird choice. Okay, so now we can Jace the Perfected Mind for the full value. Now we get to -3/-0 something. Probably the Justiciar. And then we can Mesmerizing Dose the Swooping Lookout. Which actually proliferates our Jace. Excuse my cough, by the way. They go for a Malcator's Watcher on their turn. And a Veil of Assimilation. So presumably they're going to give +1/+1 and Vigilance to their Transplant Theorist, which will give them an attack on Jace. I mean, we're quite low, so maybe they'll just attack us. I'm not sure what the right play is for them. Jace is very scary. Okay, so they are going for Jace with... Yes, okay. This makes sense to me. So we can block 3 of that damage. Jace goes down to 5. And we drew a Glistener Seer. That's not very good, is it? So we can shrink their Justiciar again. Play a Glistener Seer. Oh, of course. Well, that actually puts a huge stop in our plan. I didn't mention this ability that Transplant Theorist has. It has 2. Just need 2 mana. Put target card from your graveyard on the bottom of your library. So actually they shouldn't have been worrying about Jace at all, because it literally can't mill them out as long as they have this Transplant Theorist. You cast Cephalopod Sentry, 4 mana, X5. Its power is equal to the number of artifacts, so it's a 7/5 flyer right now. Yeah, we'll see what our next draw is. If it's not anything incredibly juicy, then we're going to have to scoop. By incredibly juicy, basically I mean Blue Sun's Twilight. That would be huge, because that would allow us to take control of their Transplant Theorist and their Cephalopod Sentry. And instead we got an Eye of Malcator, which does nothing. So that's going to be a scoop from us. Unfortunate. I think we are in a decent position there, actually. Kind of bad draws, but they were more assertive than we were, and we couldn't draw into our win conditions, so that is 1 loss. Alright, well, game 2. Nowhere to go but up. Okay, things are already improving because we're going first in game number 2. We have a turn 1 Glistener Seer, turn 2 Ichor Synthesizer, potentially, because we have a tap land. Mesmerizing Dose, Jace the Perfected Mind, Rebel Salvo. This looks perfectly acceptable to me. Play our Glistener Seer. Casual 0-3. Opponent goes Mountain. Cacophony Scamp. This is a 1 mana 1/1 when it deals combat damage to a player, you can sacrifice it to proliferate. When it dies, it deals damage equal to its power to any target. In the words of Shania Twain, that don't impress me much. Ooh, opponent is also blue-red. Probably playing the legit version rather than our jank version. Opponent plays Mercurial Spell Dancer. This is a 2 mana 2/1, can't be blocked. When you cast an on-creature spell, put an oil counter on it. When it deals combat damage to a player, remove 2 oil counters from it. If you do, copy your next instant sorcery. That's a lot of business. I would love to Rebel Salvo and or Mesmerizing Dose that. Let's see if we can get a land. Ovika Enigma Goliath. Unfortunately, that is not in our future. And we did not draw a land. Well, that stinks, doesn't it? So instead what we're going to have to do is pass to them and bring the ending their next spell. Malcator's Watcher. Yeah. I sadly think that we can't be choosers on this one. And we just have to counter that. They're hitting us for 2 with their Mercurial Spell Dancer. We'll go ahead and scry another spell we can't play, so we're going to throw that to the bottom. Okay, it's our turn now. Okay, finally drew the land. So the question is, do we dose or do we Rebel Salvo? I think we have to Rebel Salvo the Spell Dancer. Reason being is that they could do some proliferate shenanigans, copy their next spell, and then we'd be very sad about that. They play Gitaxian Anatomist. See? Exactly. 4 mana 2/5. When it enters the battlefield, you may tap it if you do proliferate. So that would have been really annoying for us. Alright, let us proliferate one more time with the Glistener Seer. A Trawler Drake. No, please. Just, we need the land so badly. Okay, we drew a land. Fantastic. So I think what we get to do now is Jace the Perfected Mind. Then we get to +1, give -3/-0 to the Anatomist. No attacks. Okay. This is going well. I mean, our opponent could have any number of things that ruin our day, but if they don't have such a thing, we get to +1 Jace again, Mesmerizing Dose their next threat, and hopefully just win the game with a Jace ultimate. They didn't do anything on their turn. That's nice. Let's go ahead and keep on keeping on. Now, what are we supposed to do? I guess what we're supposed to do is cast an Eye of Malcator. They may have the 3 mana counterspell, but if that's what they want to do on this turn, I really don't mind. That is what they want to do, unless we pay 2. Yeah, we'll pay that. So I just threw a card in the garbage for no reason. Okay. Love that. And we'll scry away a land and another Eye of Malcator. And no attacks, please. Well, at this point, our opponent needs to do something to Jace this turn, or he is going to ult them. They do a prologue to Phyrexia, so we get a poison counter, and they draw a card. And they weren't able to do anything, so now I think it would be the height of greed to not ult Jace here. So we ult them, they're down to 5 cards in their library, and now we get to cast Ichor Synthesizer. And we now get to pass the turn. They cast Quicksilver Fisher. When there's a battlefield, draw a card, then discard a card. Okay, so they're just hastening their own demise by drawing cards. Love that. I wonder if they had any transplant theorists. Nope, not in there. Okay, go attackers for them. They got nothing else. A Hex Gold Slash. Love that. Let's go ahead and Mesmerizing Dose their Quicksilver Fisher. Go ahead and do a little bit of proliferating, and once again just pass the turn. It has 2 cards left in the old library. They play a Sawblade Scamp. We don't care. Another Mesmerizing Dose. We love it. We're just going to continue to sit here until they make us do something. The Mesmerizing Dose our Ichor Synthesizer. That's fine. They also have in their graveyard, they just return to their hand a Voidwing Hybrid, which is a blue-black card, and they are completely blue-red as far as I can tell, so I don't know what that's about. There's 1 swamp and 1 Terramorphic in their graveyard. That's ambitious, friend. That's very ambitious. But hey, we're ambitious little scamps too, aren't we? Right now they're attacking us with a 2/5 Anonymous and a 1/1 Scamp. Which I guess we just block 2 damage. If they want to Cacophony Scamp and proliferate, they can go nuts. What if the 1 card they have left in their library is a transplant? Dearest. How obnoxious would that be? They are playing it out. I suppose there is a chance that they have a way out of this. But my god. Okay, we pass back to them. Let's see what this last card is. They're not just windmill slamming it, so that makes me think it is not a transplant. It's a swamp. That's really funny. So they do get to cast their Voidwing Hybrid. Should we Hex Gold Slash it just for the rubbins? I think yes is the clear answer. And goodbye. Our turn. Got a Malcator's Watcher. Just let them draw from their empty library and they're dead. We did it. We chased somebody out. Is this our new thing? Every format we have to mill at least 1 opponent out? I'm all for that. Very good. Very good. Okay, 1-1. My first win solo by myself. I love that. Love that for me. All right. Game 3 coming up. Opponent goes first. Boo. What does this hand do? This hand has a Surgical Spell Bomb. So it is a turn 1 play, but it doesn't do anything for a while. Has a Hex Gold Slash, but we need a red source. Has a Mesmerizing Dose, which I like, and a Blue Sun's Twilight. I think this is okay. It's a little slower than I would like, but if we could draw a single red source, that changes completely. Opponent is blue-white, hasn't cast anything. We drew a Bring the Ending, which, quite frankly, I love. So presumably they have a turn 3. Phyrexian Atlas? Surely we're not supposed to counter this. Yeah, that resolves. God, why couldn't that have been anything else? So this is the 3 mana rock. Set's favorite. Dang it. Are we supposed to Surgical Spell Bomb now? I don't think we are. So we drew a Prophetic Prism. God, this is annoying. Alright, let's pass to them. So many ways things could have gone differently there. They cast Tainted Observer. Okay, so we're supposed to bring the ending on that, I believe. They have their own bring the ending. This is all fine by me. So we're trading cards. It's our turn. And now, if we want to, we could just Surgical Spellbomb their thing. Is that what we're supposed to do? Alternately, what else could we do? We could cast a Prophetic Prism, and then we have Hex Gold Slash. Actually, that's just clearly the correct answer. Draws us a card. We get another land to put into play. And now we get to get a red mana and Hex Gold Slash their Tainted Observer. Okay, that was a great turn. Now, depending on what they do, we have Surgical Spellbomb, which can bounce their next play and draw us a card. We have Mesmerizing Dose, which can just perma-lock something. They cast Adaptive Spore Singer. 3 mana, 2/2 Vigilance. When it enters the battlefield, choose one. Target creature gets +2/+2 and gains Vigilance until end of turn or proliferate. So they're going to proliferate? No. They have nothing to proliferate. Okay, so that's kind of a waste of time for them. Alright, let's go ahead and take our turn. Another land. This is good. We keep marching up towards our eventual Blue Sun's Twilight. We have 5 mana currently. I think we're just supposed to Surgical Spellbomb them on their turn. So let's go ahead and pass it to them. They cast a Branch Blightstalker. 2 mana, 3/1, Toxic 2. It's pretty good. Let's have them go to attackers. Now we will... Oh, of course. Spellbomb is only a sorcery. Fool. Absolute fool. Well, in this case, we don't get to do anything this turn. Ugh. So that's my first gotcha moment in this format. I've heard tale of this, that these are only activatable as sorceries. So that's pretty annoying. So instead, what we're going to do this turn is we can Mesmerizing Dose their Stalker. And then we can... Do we Spellbomb this turn, or do we Eye of Malcator this turn? Eye of Malcator, I think. Because it's going to let us scry 2. And hopefully get us closer to our Blue Sun's Twilight. We are looking at the top. There's another Eye of Malcator and a Bring the Ending. That's interesting. Because Eye of Malcator is going to let us just chain off more Eye of Malcators the next few turns. But it also doesn't let us cast us our Twilight. I think that's fine, though. So we're going to Bring the Ending on the bottom. Leave an Eye of Malcator on top. And now for the next 2 turns, we're just going to be chaining Eye of Malcators. Ooh, so they vanish into Eternity, our Mesmerizing Dose. And now they Planar Disruptioned our Eye of Malcator. So that's a good little sequence of events for them. They hit us for 5 damage and put 2 poison counters on us. Well, that was quite good for them. That was quite good. And then they cast Thirsting Roots, which gets them to finally 2 corrupted. Well, now our Eye of Malcator looks pretty bad. So I guess now we have to Spellbomb the Branch Blightstalker, draw a land, cast an Eye of Malcator. On top we have a Mountain and a Rebel Salvo. I like both those cards. They cast Cankerbloom. The question we have to negotiate is, are we just supposed to... Oh, never mind. They literally just use their Cankerbloom to kill our other Eye of Malcator. And then hit us for 2, so it's 10 to 20. This is all fine, I suppose. Cast another Eye of Malcator. Rebel Salvo is our next draw. And then we end the turn. Life would be a lot easier for us if they just cast some meaningful creature. Instead, they just keep casting this 2-mana 3/1 toxic. 7-20. We have a Rebel Salvo. I think at this point we're just supposed to take both their creatures. Okay. They cast a Plague Nurse. See? That would have been such a better creature to take from them. But what are we supposed to do? Just sit around all day? Okay, we drew. I think, yeah, at this point we can just give them the turn. Oh, that was a mistake. We should have killed their thing on their turn, because now they're going to get an extra toxic hit in. But they just chose not to activate it. Well, that works great for us. And now they activated it post-combat. That's actually not how that works, my friend. Okay, now we're both out of cards. Oh, but they have their Phyrexian Atlas. That's still killing me. I made so much fun of this thing, and it's actually going to kill me. We drew a Glistener Seer, so we have to find a way to kill this Atlas this turn, which I don't think there's a way to do in our deck. Is that correct? Trawler Drake. That does not do it. So we did lose to the Phyrexian Atlas. Did we lose to that, though? I think these Eye of Malkators might be bad. In our deck in particular. I'm not saying they're bad overall. So let's go back to the drawing board real quick. Because the deck leans pretty hard on those. So I think if we just take all three of those out, because oftentimes they're just not going to do anything. And that makes me want Surgical Spell Bomb less. So let's take that out as well. And then what do we put back in? Well, we have a Glistener Seer, another Glistener Seer we could put in, which I have not been mad about so far. Another Bring the Ending, just as an early play, which I also think is fine. And then we have choices between Thrumming Birds, Experimental Augury is not bad. There is Ichor Synthesizer. And there's Quicksilver Fisher. 5-mana 4/3 loot when it comes into play. I don't hate that either. I think we go with that. We've been in a situation multiple times already with this deck where we're kind of drawing and we would like to hit something decent. So I think maybe that's it. Alright. And with that, I believe we're ready to go. Alright, let's try it again. Fighting for our lives. We already got a win, and it was through milling, so can't hate that. Well, we go first this time. This is mostly a good hand. It features 2 lands, 5 spells, all costing 2 or 3 mana, but it's a bunch of blue spells. We don't have any blue mana yet. How could this go wrong? We'll be keeping. This might be a quick route to our final loss. Drew Blue Sun's Twilight. Perfect. Not a land and also not a blue land. And they cast Pestilent Synthesizer and we drew another spell. Well, they're going to start poisoning us. They cast Occultoltha Cackler. We drew our Quicksilver Fisher. Yes, good. Let's go ahead and discard it. They cast a Mirror Kinsmith. This is the 4-mana 3/1 mirror that lets you search for another mirror. Got a Mirror Custodian. This is a sad day for us. We drew Jace the Perfected Mind. Okay, let's pack it up. I said this might be a fast route to our final defeat, and yeah, it very much was. What do I think about that keep in retrospect? I mean, with hindsight, that's 2020. But I think that was okay. Literally, we have how many islands do we have? I think we had 10 islands. Yeah, 10 out of our 17 lands. And so we died on what, turn 4 there? Turn 3? So out of our top 10 cards, we got 2 lands and both were mountains. That's pretty unfortunate, pretty unlucky, I would say. Yeah, it was still greedy, and we got punished for our greed. This deck, I don't know how to feel about it. We only got to do a Blue Sun's Twilight once. And in this format, this card would be very good in most formats. Blue X, gain control of target creature with mana value X or less. If X is 5 or more, make a token that's a copy of that creature. Steal their best thing and make a copy of it is an insanely powerful card. The trouble in this format is that most decks are just not playing very big creatures. So your 7 mana spell is like making a pair of 2/2s or something, which is good and can win you the game. But it's not like in other formats where, like let's say, oh geez, I don't know, in Brothers War they cast, the prototype green card that gains you life when it comes into play. You make 2 copies of that. That's nuts. You take theirs and you make another one. You gain 12 life or whatever. That doesn't really happen in this format, so maybe this card is not nearly as good as it could be. Jace was pretty good. Basically, it lived up to what I've heard about this Jace, which is that he's just his own thing. He's like David S. Pumpkins. He is his own little mini game, and if you can get him up to his ult, you will win the game, which is exactly what we did in the game that we won. Other cards. Hexgold Slash, we all know, is great. Bring the Ending, I think, was actually pretty good. It didn't work out for us. It just felt like the timing never worked that well. So that's a bit of a knock on it, but I think that's also just a little unlucky. Typically, I think you can expect to hit things. Like, we had it in multiple instances where we had to bring the ending in our opening hand, and we were unable to cast it for one reason or another. Or, as with the Game 3 loss, our opponent went for the Phyrexian Atlas, which we did lose to it eventually, and I could have countered it on that turn, but it just felt like that's not how we're going to be losing this game. Incorrect. Seth, you win this time, you son of a bitch. What else can we say? A lot of the cards I didn't get a chance to play. I had a Barb Batterfist I never saw. Trawler Drake, good in theory. It felt like when you cast it and it's a 1/1 flyer for 3, that's underwhelming, and we were just always on the back foot, so it never was going to get a chance to shine. Also didn't get a chance to cast Tamiyo's Immobilizer. I don't know. I think I agree with the general idea that blue's not great in this set, but it doesn't feel unplayable to me. And I look forward to testing that as I force myself into blue somehow every single game. All right, well, thank you for joining me, and I hope you hop in for the next one in Phyrexia. All will be one.